What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Eddie Express DFS podcast presented to you by Draft Dashboard. You can try out all the tools that I use in this video and the tools that are on my screen 30 days for $1 by clicking my link in the description below. Gets you access to the NFL, the NBA, and the NHL currently. It's basically a free trial. Comes with a mass lineup generator, all these tools, player trends. You get access to my personal player pool every single day. Lineup optimizer, videos on how to play DFS and how to get better at DFS if you're interested. Here's the NBA cheat sheet. Cheat sheet is up today. The players that are in red are the players that I'm interested in. Players in blue are the ones that I'm kind of avoiding. As you can see, we're going to get into my watch players tab. I am playing in the Minimax tournament today with 150 lineups, so we're going to have a bigger player pool, but this is what I want my exposure to be limited to. First up, Tobias Harris, 6,800, 5.3x value, 36 projection, going up against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are 15th defensively against the position and 18th defensively overall. Next up, I have LeBron James. I don't expect to get a ton of him, but I want a little bit of piece of him. I think my first crunch I had like 13%, so not a ton of LeBron, but I want to be north of 2%. Phoenix, very good defensively, 9th overall, 9th against the position, but LeBron's just been on a pretty big tear, so I have some interest there. Next up, I have Ben Simmons. This is a guy we're going to have to watch injury news on. But if he plays, $7,400 Ben Simmons at the 5.5 value and a 40.7 projection, going up against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who ranked 20th against the position and 18th overall. Next up, I have Richaun Holmes against the Portland Trail Blazers, 29% projected ownership, 5,400, 6x value projection. You don't get that very often. Definitely a guy you want to have in your player pools today. 30.2 projection at just 5,400. Portland dead last against the position and 23rd defensively. Next, I have Anthony Davis, 6.2 value, 62.1 projection. It's very high projection on Anthony Davis. 19% projected ownership, 7th. The Suns ranked 7th against the position and 9th in team total defense. Anthony Davis is just too cheap. There's a lot of mispriced guys today, Anthony Davis being one of them. He's not my favorite mispriced guy, but he is up there, and I will have a decent amount of him. Next up, I have Nikola Jokic. He's probably my favorite play of the day. There's only one other player that I would like maybe just a little bit more than him, and he's a value guy, and we'll get to that in a minute. But Atlanta against centers, 17th against centers, 16th in team total defense. $8,300 Nikola Jokic is just insane. This guy should be like 10,000, and he's got a 5.7 projection or 5.7 value. Just a really a smash spot here. I want to have north of 60% of him, maybe 70. I'm going to have a ton of him. Next up, I have Garrett Temple going up against the Utah Jazz. Now, look, the Utah Jazz are a good team. They're good defensively. It's not a good matchup. Karis LeVert is out, though, and this is a guy where you can fill in for $3,700, very cheap. He's going to see, he might even draw the start. He's going to see a usage bump. With the second unit, he might be playing with Dinwiddie and Temple. So I just love Temple at that price tag. He's just too cheap. Next up, I have Damian Lillard at 6% projected ownership. Decent spot here. Not as good as some of the underpriced centers, but I want a piece of Dame Lillard. Sacramento is 22nd against point guards. They're without De'Aaron Fox today, so he's going to draw Corey Joseph defense. Defensively, Joseph is a little bit better, I think, but that's for another day. 4.9 value, 47 projection. Team ranked 22nd against the position. Next up, I have Joel Embiid, 28% projected ownership. Cleveland is 12th against centers, 18th overall. Embiid is just underpriced. He should be... this is the cheapest you're going to see him all year, so you might as well get him while you can. Pretty good matchup for him as well. I'll have quite a bit of Embiid. Next up, Bobby Portis. Look, rostering Bobby Portis is never exciting, but if you look, he is the guy that gets up for these revenge games. 30, 36, 44, 52 against Chicago. He's averaging a little over 39 DraftKings points per game against Chicago. So he buys into that stuff, and he gets up for these games. I'll have some of him. I just included him just because he just seems to crush them every time he plays them. So Bobby Portis, 5.9 value, 5,500. Knicks against the position are Bulls against the position are 29th and 21st overall in team total defense. Next up, I have kind of a flyer guy, Kyle Kuzma. His minutes are ticking upwards. He could play up to 28 minutes today. For a guy that's just 4,600, not the greatest matchup, but somebody I'm willing to take a shot on. If he starts seeing more minutes, he's going to destroy this price, and I want to be in on the day that it happens, so I'm interested in Kyle Kuzma. Next up, I have Colby White, 5.6 value, 23 projection, going up against the New York Knickerbockers, 21st against the position and 14th for team total defense. Same thing for Zach LaVine as far as team total defenses and position. 7,100, 5.1 value. Got to include a guy like that. As you can see, I like this Knicks Bulls game a little bit. Next up, we have Julius Randle, 24% projected owned, 5.9 value, 42.7 projection, going up against the same Bulls that we just talked about. Yeah, love me some Julius Randle. Lauri Markkanen, 12% projected ownership, 16th team total defense and 14th team total defense, 16th against the position. Markkanen is a guy that I'm waiting to have a ceiling game. He has had some good games. This dude was scoring 50 at will last year, and it just hasn't happened this year, so I want to be on board when it does. Next up, I have Corey Joseph. Again, we talked about $3,700 guys where you just have to have them. And he makes for a very good case here. He should play 30 minutes, 7.1 value, 26.2 projection, 26% projected ownership. I'll be north of that. Good matchup as the Trailblazers are 26th against the position and 23rd overall. Next up, I have Rudy Gobert. I don't expect to get a ton of him, but I do want to include him because Brooklyn sucks against centers, and Gobert is starting to kind of come into his own. As you can see, he had a 52 last night. It is a back-to-back, though, so that's a little concerning for the big guy. But definitely want to have a little bit of him, so we included him. Next up, Bam Adebayo against Detroit. 27% projected ownership. Detroit 18th against centers, 15th overall in team total defense. Bam has not had success in this matchup recently, but he's just a guy that does a little bit of everything. I think he can get to 6,800 and pay off at least 5x. Next up, I have Kendrick Nunn. Again, same matchup, but $4,700 Nunn. This guy was like 8K at one point. Since Butler's come back, it's really taken away from his shot volume. But he also is a guy that can just get hot. If he hits a couple threes, you could see him start flinging it around a little bit. Kendrick Nunn's a guy that I'm willing to take a chance on because he's very streaky. Doesn't grade out all that well, though, with just a 4.3 value. Next up, I have Jimmy Butler at 7,800, projected for 38.7. Not the greatest matchup in the world, but for a guy that's 7,800 who has 50-point upside, as you can see, 49, 51, 33, 47, 38, he's definitely a guy that I'm going to include when entering 150 lineups. Next, I have Mike Conley. This guy's another guy that's just underpriced. He almost grades out for a full 6x value, but it's a 5.8, 35.8 projection at 6,200. Brooklyn is dead last in the league against point guards, and defensively they are not good. 27th team total defense. Believe this will be a big pace up spot. There's the pace. So Brooklyn plays at 10 possessions more per game. That's key when you're looking at fantasy spots and seeing who's in a good spot. So here's the pace numbers. You can find this stuff all on Draft Dashboard just by clicking the link in the description below. Gets you access to all this stuff. 30 days for $1. Next up, I have Malcolm Brogdon, 23% projected ownership, 4.8 value. I believe that he's just underpriced. 23% projected ownership would be why. Next up, I have Gary Harris. Gary Harris and Will Barton, very, very similar players. Barton does have more upside because he gets more blocks and steals. But as far as the rest of their games are concerned, they're pretty even. Will Barton is $1,500 more expensive than Gary Harris. It's a good matchup against Atlanta, who ranks 27th against the position. So Gary Harris is getting a 5.5 value. So I'm interested in Gary Harris today because he's just the cheaper of the two guys, and it's a good spot. Next up, I have Buddy Hield, 23% projected ownership against the Portland Trail Blazers, who rank 19th against the position and 23rd overall in team total defense. Buddy Hield has kind of been all over the place. I haven't really seen a ceiling game from him, but he can get to a 5x number. He could just fill out some lineups. He should see a tick up in usage without De'Aaron Fox, more shot volume. I think Buddy Hield is worth taking a shot on today. Then my cover photo guy for the day, I almost feel guilty not making it Nikola Jokic because he's in such a good spot at such a good price tag. But Bogdan Bogdanovich, 5,400, only getting 16% projected ownership. This guy is going to facilitate, be a point guard. He might flirt for a triple-double in this game. I expect him to score north of 20 points. I get why he's 5,400. They priced him up a little bit, but they didn't price him up enough. This guy's assist percentage is like 33% without De'Aaron Fox on the floor. His usage is about 27% without De'Aaron Fox on the floor. And news, De'Aaron Fox ain't playing today, so this is the guy you want. He will be the cover photo for today. Just love him in this spot. I expect to have a ton of him, north of 60, 70% for me. He's a guy I'll be very overweight on. Anyways, now that we got all that out of the way, I'll put my plugs in. Like the video. That always helps me out. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thanks for being here. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our new videos. You want to try out the tools that I just used and showed you on the screen, you can do so by clicking my link in the description below. 30 days for $1. Not going to get a better deal in any form of DFS. It's a free trial. Try it out. If you like it, you can hang on to it. If you don't, you can get rid of it. It's free for you to try. So if you're a daily fantasy player and you haven't at least tried it out, you're just being kind of dumb at that point. Anyways, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate all the good stuff. I'll leave my PayPal email in the description underneath the link to sign up for Draft Dashboard. If you hit something big, you can feel free to tip the channel if you'd like. It's not required, but I always leave that option in there. Thanks for stopping by today. Guys, and good luck.